A study by GeekWire recently discovered that the average American spends 162 minutes a day on their mobile phone. This amounts to around 24 days a year and 3.9 years of the average lifespan. And the majority of this time is spent on some form of social media. Whether it be Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, or any other social networking site, our time is spent scrolling through snippets of other people's lives and trying to show off ours. In this environment, it is impossible not to compare your life with theirs. All of this comparison and effort to show off the, quote, perfect life has taken a huge toll on America's self-esteem. Beauty is no longer defined in terms of real-life personality or accomplishments, but in the edited, cropped, and photoshopped pictures of social media. A new, unreachable standard of beauty has been set, and it is wrecking the world's self-esteem day by day.
With the rise of social media, we literally have a weapon of mass destruction to our self-esteem 24/7.
I constantly have to compare myself to other people. That makes me feel bad about myself.
Really bring you down.
Very pretty, you're not that person, it brings you down.
Am I a failure as a dad? It's comparatively comparing ourselves to others. It doesn't end at 18.
Everybody else is moving on to a different stage of their life.
Likes and followers and more of those, then you are happy.
Things that I do are being compared to things that my friends do.
Kind of feel really insecure about
unrealistic beauty.
Real. Social media is a curated, filtered, often airbrushed, and sometimes even lifestyle illusion.
In the 21st century, social media has become the most influential platform. Through social media apps, people have the opportunity to anonymously scrutinize pictures showing only one's outward appearance, which can often be very misleading. Nearly 3/4 of women between ages 18 and 34 edit their pictures before posting them to social networks, as well as more than half the men surveyed in the same age group. There are countless applications available for this. Perfect 365 and Facetune are apps in which people can whiten their teeth, make their face skinnier, remove blemishes, and apply makeup. Bisco and Afterlight allow users to add filters to their pictures to make them more picturesque. A perfect example of this editing phenomenon is Australian Instagram celebrity Esteem, who recently quit social media after citing her account as being, quote, edited and staged. She quit her Instagram to promote self-love and to call attention to the unrealistic images portrayed online.
O'Neill first began obsessing over her body when she was 12 by comparing herself to girls online who seemed to have it all. Fast forward to a few years later, and O'Neill is sexualizing herself for the benefit of more followers.
But at the same time, everything I was doing was edited and contrived and to get more value. If you don't think it's a business, you're deluding yourself.
The phenomenon that Esteem O'Neill and countless other social media users experience can lead to a so-called duck syndrome, named by Stanford University. In other words, social media makes it appear as though people are carelessly and effortlessly swimming along, and no one can truly see all the work that goes into this image underwater. After seeing this, their followers begin to think less of themselves because they are not as perfect as this fabrication.
The dream job. They have this perfect life. Why isn't my life like that? The scary thing is, that's not real.
One of the most publicized examples of this is Selena Gomez. After becoming the most followed celebrity on Instagram, she could not handle the stress of keeping up her appearances at all times. She was spending hours every day obsessing over the flaws in the pictures she had posted and comparing herself to the other fake pictures she would see. She had become addicted to the person she was pretending to be and eventually had to cancel her world tour because of how distorted her self-image had become. A few months after this had happened, she posted a clip with her friends with a caption calling out social media for the unrealistic standard of beauty that it sets.
Not only do people compare their pictures to others, but social media apps also enable them to compare the amount of likes and comments they receive. On Instagram and Facebook, a lot of likes and comments mean that someone is cool. On Snapchat, higher scores indicate more friends. On Twitter, more favorites mean better personalities. These meaningless numbers have the power to completely change how someone feels about the things they post, and if a post doesn't receive a lot of attention, they begin to think it's because they're ugly or that people don't like them.
Social media serves as a basis for comparison, which as a result makes it a platform to body shame others. Many people get swept up in the idea that physical appearance is the most important thing, so they begin to judge others for the way they look. One example of this was the feedback Lady Gaga received after her halftime performance at the Super Bowl. Viewers could see one fat roll and they blew it out of proportion through social media and even criticized her singing abilities. However, not only celebrities experience this body shaming and insecurity on social media.
We found that 55% have felt insecure about their body because of social media. We also asked the question, 67% responded with a 3, 4, or 5 on a scale of how often they see body shaming. The facilitations of competitions, comparisons, body obsessions, and body shaming is very dangerous. These are all associated with low levels of self-esteem, which in turn promotes harmful behaviors such as eating disorders, unnecessary plastic surgery, and excessive exercise. To learn more about how social media drives people to unhealthy eating patterns, we interviewed a specialist at the Atlanta Center for Eating Disorders.
My name is Meade Fields, and I'm an LPC and here at Atlanta Center for Eating Disorders, and I also have a private practice.
How does the ideal body image portrayed throughout social media have an effect on eating disorders?
You know, especially with like editing and selfies and things like that, you know, there's a lot of pressure to get a certain amount of likes or, you know, whatever, and a lot of people will base their entire self-esteem on that. Well, it's unattainable. So they see these images that are photoshopped or, you know, of other people who might have eating disorders, who are portrayed as the ideal body, and they're seeing something that's unrealistic and unattainable. So, you know, it's impossible to live up to. So, of course, it affects how, you know, people see their bodies, and you know, if they don't look like something that actually isn't real anyway, then they feel like they need to lose weight or use their eating disorder to try to reach that unattainable goal.
Many turn to online outlets to discuss their struggles and day-to-day lives with the disorder, once again making social media harmful and destructive. One of the most commonly used sites is MyProAnna, which is an outlet for the anorexic. So much for increasing calories. I didn't even break 500 today, sitting at 465 calories today. Lunch, water and air, priceless. Total, none.
What have you heard about the online outlets for eating disorders such as MyProAnna and others?
What I've read on there is extremely toxic. There's a lot of competition on there. There's a lot of, you know, sort of metaphorical high fives for people who are doing self-destructive things to themselves, and it's like a reverse support group.
After hearing what Meade had to say, in order to hear from someone who experienced an eating disorder prompted by social media, we interviewed Sasha Pendorf.
Hi, my name is Sasha Pendorf. I'm 23 years old, and I work as an actor here in Atlanta, as well as a maitre d' for Nova Cucina.
How did social media affect your feelings about body image?
So, for me, I started adapting to social media really young. I think I was honestly like 10 or 11 when I got like MySpace and Zynga, and then I was probably like 13 when I moved over to Facebook. And for me, a lot of it was kind of a mix between my real life and my online life. So I did a lot of theater when I was very young, and so obviously I filled up really quickly like in my social media with theater friends. And unfortunately, when you work in a field such as that, body image is already a really touchy thing, because if you don't have the dancer's body or the ingenue's body, you're kind of the outcast, or you're gonna get typed into being the fat girl or the curvy girl or whatever your body type is that isn't perfect. So from the moment I started using social media, I saw everybody's highlight reels, and I saw what everybody wanted people to see and what they put out there for the world, and I didn't feel like my body reflected what I was seeing in everybody else. So almost immediately, any image that I took, it had to be at a certain angle, or, you know, what if my nose looked big or my cheeks looked puffy, and it was uncomfortable. And so I made a lot of changes really quickly to kind of alter the way I looked and the way I wanted other people to perceive the way I looked.
What prompted your eating disorder?
So kind of what prompted my eating disorder, I think, was just wanting to be able to control the way other people saw me, especially online, because in person I have a personality and I can sway anyone to think whatever about me, but online it's so superficial.
What were your experiences with social media outlets for anorexia?
From places like Pro Annie, it felt like a safe space to talk about the horrible things I was doing to my body. Things like that were my outlets to talk to other people with anorexia, but in a negative way. So let's post pictures of, practical skeletons, and that's goals. That's what I want my body to look like.
How did you recover from your eating disorder and begin to accept the way you look?
I learned to wake up every day and say one good thing about my body or myself, or just something positive. And look in the mirror and you say, I have a beautiful smile, and I have a wonderful personality, and I have a partner who loves me. And those are all things that your body doesn't control. You control those things. An ongoing process. When we started this interview, I was a little nervous and a little shaky because I don't love to talk about my body, but I think it's important. You can be healthy at all different shapes and sizes, and that I don't need to be 90 pounds to be happy and be worth something. I can be 200 pounds and still be the same person, much happier and much healthier.
My stomach doesn't look like that. I'm supposed to look like that. And so they starve themselves and they work out like crazy, and it's just that it's not important. I just think we put the wrong emphasis on what beauty is and what health is.
As Ellen said, we have begun placing the wrong emphasis on what beauty and health is, but not just for women anymore. Contrary to popular belief, there are some eating disorders in which thinness is not the goal. Muscle dysmorphia occurs predominantly in men when they feel as though they are too small or underdeveloped. It increases the possibility of injury, and it causes people to neglect many responsibilities, such as their family and work, because they become obsessed with achieving a ripped body. Experts have said that this problem is largely related to social media because the constant stream of bulky men in minimal clothing leads average users to feel inadequate.
Everything Tim said and did was familiar to me, but with one crucial point of distinction. The intrusive and preoccupying thoughts that he had about his body, his punishing eating and exercise routines, and his drug use were aimed toward achieving muscularity and not thinness. Tim had muscle dysmorphia. It was professional bodybuilders who first noticed it, living in California in the 80s and training in the famous outdoor gyms of Muscle Beach. They called it bigorexia, a colourful nickname for a reverse form of anorexia nervosa. But muscle dysmorphia is not limited to professional bodybuilders, just like anorexia is not limited to runway models.
All social media users can be victims of these eating disorders. They look in the mirror and feel unworthy. They believe they don't look how everyone else appears to look online. As a result, they desire change. That is when they turn to eating disorders. However, social media causes more than just anorexia, bulimia, and body dysmorphia. Some wish for a change they will be able to see in the mirror right away, aka plastic surgery. An American Society of Plastic Surgeons report found that Americans spent more than $16 billion on cosmetic plastic surgeries in 2016, the most the U.S. has ever spent on such operations. Even more common than eating disorders, plastic surgery is another side effect of social media. While it is every person's right to do what they want to their body, there is a point when it becomes unhealthy. No one should feel pressured to undergo a risky procedure and permanently change their body, but unfortunately, many people feel so uncomfortable in their own skin that they are willing to do it. Because people have the ability to artificially warp their bodies on social media, others begin to wonder why their features aren't that perfect, and they begin to feel that they are the problem. In order to understand the motivation for plastic surgery from an inside source and the risks that plastic surgery entails, we interviewed Dr. David D. Brothers out of St. Joseph's Hospital.
Services that we offer, okay? So for me, my services at this point are all cosmetic. So all I do is cosmetic surgery. However, I'm training to do a lot more.
So what's the top cosmetic procedure that you do?
Believe it or not, it depends upon the time of the year. In springtime, we do mostly body work. A lot of tummy tucks, a lot of breast surgeries. In the fall, we do a lot of facial surgery, facelifts and eyes and so forth. For some reason, there is a seasonal difference.
What are the main reasons patients come to see you?
People come to see me because they're unhappy with some aspect of their appearance. They want to look better, and they want to have better self-esteem.
Do you think that people that come to see you want to change the way they look because of something they've seen on social media?
Somebody photoshops themselves, and they take that photoshopped image and they bring that image to me, and they say, I want to look more like this. If it's within reason and they are of age, and I feel that they're not just striving for perfection, then yes, I'd be willing to do it. There are a lot of people who, yes, that do it for the wrong reason.
So what are the risks of getting plastic surgery?
Ooh, lots of risks. Other than the surgical risks, which usually include, bleeding, infection, wound healing problems, you can also have an unhappy patient. The greatest risk to me is somebody who's having a surgery for the wrong reasons. Usually when I operate on somebody, it's going to be somebody who, like for women, who want to have better self-esteem, but they're not doing the surgery for somebody else.
The research shows that there are people entering into plastic surgery to fix an insecurity that social media has caused, and Dr. Brothers made it very clear that plastic surgery comes with a number of risks. People should not have to subject themselves to bleeding, infection, and wound healing problems to have a smaller nose, stomach, or bigger breasts, just because Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, etc. has made them believe these changes are necessary. As many women use plastic surgery to achieve attractiveness, males resort to things like muscularity and masculinity to gain attention.
In a study done by Bradley University, 95% of college males stated that they felt insecure about their body. However, men are much more timid to talk about their low self-esteem and insecurities and fear that if they admit it, it will ruin their masculinity. The images they see online are often a false representation of what men actually look like, and social media creates this illusion. Additionally, most men reported that they feel as though they must be fit, active, and manly in order to get attention and fit in, especially on social media. Justin Baldoni is an American actor who conducted a study that tested how people react to his posts on social media.
So I tried an experiment. I started posting more stereotypically masculine things. Like my challenging workouts, my meal plans, my journey to heal my body after an injury. And guess what happened? Men started to write me. And then, out of the blue, for the first time in my entire career, a male fitness magazine called me. And they said they wanted to honor me as one of their game changers. Is that really game changing? Or is it just conforming? And see, that's the problem. It's totally cool for men to follow me when I talk about guy stuff and I conform to gender norms. But if I talk about how much I love my wife or my daughter or my 10-day-old son, how I believe that marriage is challenging but beautiful, or how as a man I struggle with body dysmorphia, or if I promote gender equality, then only the women show up. Where are the men? I understand. Growing up, we tend to challenge each other. We got to be the toughest, the strongest, the bravest men that we can be. And for many of us, myself included, our identities are wrapped up in whether or not at the end of the day we feel like we're man enough.
Actors and grown men are not the only ones who feel pressure to work out and fit the manly image. Average people around Atlanta and the world also feel as though they need to meet the standard of men seen online.
I see other lacrosse players in college and professionally going and working out, so that motivates me because I want to be like them.
So many guys now are going to the gym and they're even abusing steroids because maybe their selfies would get more likes if they had a six-pack of abs, not beer.
And I need to learn how to get big. And I enjoy getting heart eyes under my pictures on Instagram. So,
when I post something in 2013, like me skinny on social media, I get that negative feedback. I'm just like, okay, fine. I know that there needs to be change. So I post it now, and then I get like positive, I get so much positive feedback, which
People have begun to recognize the self-esteem problem social media causes. Some have tried to start movements to promote acceptance and positivity. For example, the hashtag Don't Judge Challenge. The task was for people to post videos with drawn-on blemishes such as acne, unibrows, and glasses, and then remove these blemishes to reveal how they look normally. The intent was to promote the idea that it doesn't matter how you look on the outside, but you can still be accepted on social media. However, the challenge received a lot of backlash and hurt people's self-esteem instead of helping it, because people interpreted the post as saying that people with impurities are ugly. Therefore, once again, social media has turned a positive effort into another way to break down others' self-esteem. On the other hand, the Dove campaign aims to show how real beauty is far more realistic and genuine than the fake model companies like Victoria's Secret and American Eagle. This campaign is about empowering women and inspiring them not to feel pressure to conform to an unrealistic image that is portrayed on the internet. It is a movement that, unlike the Don't Judge Challenge, has done a wonderful job of promoting body positivity and media acceptance. It is one step forward in the path to positive, realistic, and uplifting social media.
Tell me about your chin.
It kind of protrudes a little bit, especially when I smile.
Your jaw.
My mom told me I had a big jaw.
What would be your most prominent feature?
I kind of have a fat, rounder face.
Today I'm going to ask you some questions about a person you met earlier.
She had nice eyes. They lit up when she spoke.
Cute nose.
She had blue eyes, very nice blue eyes.
This is the sketch that you helped me create, and that's a sketch that somebody described of you.
So yeah, that's...
She looks closed off and fatter, sadder too. The second one looks more open, friendly, and happy.
Do you think you're more beautiful than you say?
Yeah.
Celebrities and models have also begun to speak out as advocates for new beauty standards. They want eyes to look away from the unrealistic standards that social media has set. They want change, and they serve as inspiration to those struggling with insecurities and that are falling prey to social media's unrealistic standards. Models Ashley Graham and previously mentioned Iskra Lawrence gave powerful TED Talks on this topic that perfectly summarize that changes must happen in our society when it comes to the standard and definition of beauty.
You are brilliant, and you are beautiful. There is no other woman like you. You are capable. Did you know that the plus-size fashion industry actually starts at a US size 8 and it goes up to a US size 16? So basically what I'm saying is that the majority of this room right now is considered plus size. And Dove's global report on attitudes towards beauty actually did a survey with thousands of women in 10 different countries. And you know what the most striking result was? That only 2% of women find themselves beautiful. 2%. We need to work together to redefine the global vision of beauty. True beauty comes from within, and that validation and self-worth must also come from within. With so much emphasis on the body and external, it's no wonder that we all suffer so much internally.
And I would look at these pictures and think, well, wow, where did half my arms go? My legs are so much skinnier. I've got 0 flaws. Is that how I'm meant to look? I'm meant to be that perfected image? Wow, well, I can't even look like that, and that's me. It's so detrimental to your mental and physical health. And if we could start redefining the beauty ideal, imagine celebrating someone's achievements, their accomplishments, their personality, their morals and their values. To me, that's beautiful.
Multiple times, Jennifer Lawrence has advocated for body positivity, and she wants to change the way girls are viewing their self-worth because of comparison to other social media users.
We have the ability to control this image that young girls are going to be seeing. We need to make girls see enough of this body that we can't imitate, that we'll never be able to attain, these unrealistic expectations. And this is going to be their hero, and we have control over that. So it's kind of an amazing opportunity to rid ourselves of that in this industry.
For the majority of her adult life, Jennifer Lopez has struggled with her self-esteem. She calls attention to how the media has brought her down and even wrote a book entitled True Love in order to help others struggling with the same problem social media is causing. While discussing why Kate Winslet doesn't have social media in her house, she stated, quote, "It has a huge impact on young women's self-esteem because all they ever do is design themselves for people to like them. And what comes along with that? Eating disorders." She continued, "And that makes my blood boil and is the reason we don't have social media in our house."
With 52% of teenagers saying that they use social media as validation of their appearance, it is clear that there needs to be a change. The Dove campaign found that 92% of teen girls would like to change something about the way they look, with body weight ranking the highest. A national report on self-esteem found that 98% of girls feel there is an immense pressure from external sources to look a certain way. And according to the National Institute of Media and Family, 78% of girls and boys are unhappy with their bodies by the time they reach 17. There must be a change. We cannot keep letting a screen dictate how we view ourselves and others. We cannot let edited and Photoshop pictures set the standard for beauty. It's time to rethink our priorities and what makes people beautiful. It isn't a smaller waist, bigger thigh gap, or perfect eyebrows, and it definitely isn't a false perfect life portrayed by social media.
Because the real beauty ideal is being imperfectly you.
Love yourself. Everyone's beautiful in their own way. Happy with yourself. Accept yourself. You rock. Everybody's perfect in their own way. Be confident. Body positive.
Independent.
By shape, size, or color, you are all beautiful.